Hey y'all, it's Arnika and welcome back to More to Consider. I'm so excited because this is our third episode, and on this episode, we're going to talk all about how to plan for what's next. So, we are coming to the end of 2024, and what a ride this year has been. I know I've had a lot of ups, a lot of downs, a lot of all arounds, but I'm so thankful to God that we have came and made it to the end of 2024. There's a lot of people that did not have a chance to make it, and I'm just thankful to be here. So, as we walk into 2025, I want to talk about how are we planning for what is next? How are we setting our goals? What actions are we taking so we can have an amazing 2025? So, the first thing that I want us to look at is let's reflect on where we are now. Like, what happened this year? What were the highs and what were the lows? And how can we plan for a better year? One of my biggest things was transition out of my graphic design job when I got laid off this year and then going back to teaching. But I also have my cold pressed juice business, and I reached some amazing accomplishments with that. I was able to get a food truck. I'm still doing online orders, things are still growing. Even though going back to teach has been pretty difficult after not teaching for 2 whole years, I can say that I feel like I've accomplished getting through the first semester. I had a lot of learning curves. So I jumped back into teaching, but I can say I've accomplished that. And I give myself kudos for being able to have my cold pressed juice business and teaching at the same time, because it's definitely not easy. But I've just continued to encourage myself to keep going through the challenges, through the difficulties, because I really think as I keep moving forward, things are going to really turn out to something great. Also, when it comes to you thinking about where you are now and having that reflection time, think about the roadblocks and challenges that you may have had for the last year. I know for me, I definitely had some challenges and roadblocks. When it came to going back into teaching, I had to get back in the mindset of a teacher, start prepping and planning like a teacher, all along having a cold pressed juice business and a food truck for the first time. So there was a lot of learning curves that I had to face when it came to having a food truck, learning about how to operate it, getting people to help me, using my resources. So those are some challenges that I definitely had to overcome this last year. After you're able to reflect on where you are now, the next thing is going to be to clarify your goals for the next year. So I know for me, at the beginning of the year and the end of the year, I sit down by myself. I have a planning session with myself, and I also have a planning session with my partner. During that time that I plan with myself, I sit down and I think about what goals that I set for this year that I actually accomplished, and what are the goals that I want to accomplish for the next year. And so I sit down and I write out all of these goals, all of these tasks that I want to complete, small and large. I sit down and I write down all of that stuff. So one of the biggest things when it comes to planning, especially your short-term and long-term goals, get that stuff down in writing. And I tell you, it's so satisfying when you write down your goals, write down the things that you want to accomplish. And when you actually accomplish them, it's crazy to see this stuff actually come to life. I know for this past year, after doing my reflection, at the beginning of year 2024, I wrote down a whole list of goals that I want to accomplish. And buying a food truck and expanding my business was on my list. I accomplished it. Going to a business conference, I accomplished it. Expanding my audience and growing within my business, I wrote all of that down and I accomplished it. For the year 2025, you want to make sure that you write down everything. And along with writing down your goals, start breaking that down month by month. So, what it is that I need to make each month to do the things that I need to do. What small tasks do I need to complete each month to get to that bigger goal? Is there a certain thing that I want to purchase at a certain time of the year so I can move forward with something else? Like, write all of that stuff down. Nothing is too far fetched. write it all down. And so really quickly, I just want to show you some of the things that I use to write down my goals and to do my planning with. I have several journals and notebooks that I use. I have a notebook that I use for my business things, so all of my business goals, things that I'm trying to accomplish month to month, I write them down in here. Then I have this journal that I use for my Bible sessions, when I'm doing Bible study with myself, when I'm reading the Bible, things that stick out to me, when I'm doing meditation. I write all of this stuff down. Anything that I feel like God tells me, or any visions that I feel like He shows me, I write all of that stuff down in this journal. And then I have another journal that I use for daily tasks and for my business. I just write everything down here. Anything that I think about, any type of plan that I have for myself, for my business, I write it all down. And when I tell you, writing things down has made a world of difference in my life, I can just tell that it's like it encourages me to be able to see what I have down in writing, and then be able to actually take the actions and the steps to make it come true. And then when you see it in real life, you're like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I wrote down in my journal. And I just can't believe that this is coming true. So get yourself some journals, get yourself some notebooks, and make these plans come to life. So once you set some goals, you have to actually create an action plan to make this stuff come true, right? Like, it's really easy to talk about goals, to say that you want to accomplish something, but you have to take the actions to get there. And you have to actually make a plan on how you're going to execute these items or these goals that you set for yourself. So you want to break this stuff down into manageable steps, manageable actions. If there's something huge, like if you want to get your first kiosk or brick and mortar for your business, like, you need to break this stuff down. I need to make this amount of money before I can take this step. I need to be able to afford an employee. I need to be able to dedicate this amount of time to marketing and ads each month. Break each one of these steps down so you can get to that bigger goal. It can even be something as simple as something that I'm trying to do, also get back in the regimen of going to the gym. Like, if you haven't been going to the gym for the last 2 months, like I've struggled with, you're probably not going to all of a sudden one week like, okay, I'm going to the gym 5 days this week. No, break it down. Let's try maybe 2 days the first week. Maybe we can get in that gym, we can get on the treadmill, we can do maybe an easier exercise. And then the next week, okay, let's try 3 days and work our way up. Because I have a big habit of wanting to set a goal, and I just want to get back to where I used to be with that. Like, I used to do this. I used to work out 3 times a week. And then you kind of get out of the groove, and now we're trying to like shock ourselves by jumping back into an idea goal that you have for yourself. But it's just hard because you're out of it. Give yourself some grace and do it step by step. Like, it's okay. You can take that step by step. And that's with any goal that you set for yourself. So here's another thing that you want to think about when it comes to planning for what's next. Evaluate your support system. Who are the people that are around you? Who's in your circle? This is something that you have to keep in mind. As you go into the new year and you're changing your mindset, you're changing the things that you think about, how you think about things, your circle may shift. And I know it may be kind of hard for some of us because we get used to the people that's in our circle, we get used to our friends. But as you elevate and as you start to transform, sometimes it kind of takes you away from the people that you were already around because your minds are on a different level. And just understand that it is okay to shift and grow from people. Sometimes it's not a bad thing that you may not be as close to somebody that's in your circle because you're shifting. It's not a bad thing. But just keep in mind that you have to be around like-minded people as far as where you are going. And if you are starting different habits, you're dropping off old habits, and you still have someone in your circle that is still, doing a lot of the same things that you used to do, and you're growing out of those things, it's something to think about how it may be holding you back in certain instances, because it's just time for a shift. It's time for a change. I know for me, as I've grown with my relationship with God. I've grown with creating my own business, not having some of the old habits that I have. And I can look around and say that my friend circle is not the same. And I still love all the people that I used to be closer with, but Now I have more people in my circle where the mindsets are aligned. We're thinking about the same things. We're thinking about some of the same goals. Our mindsets are very similar. Like there's a lot of things that we are prioritizing that are more positive, and they're similar versus some of the people that I used to be in circles with, maybe dibbling dabbling in some of the same stuff that I'm no longer interested in. And that's another thing is as you grow, as you start growing and you start shifting into this person that is reaching certain goals that you've written down, it's just going to change up some things. It's going to change up some of the habits that you have, and you may start dropping some of those habits. You may stop having a want to do some of the things that you used to do just because you're shifting and changing some things in your life. And a lot of times when we have these grand goals that we want to reach, a lot of things has to shift in your life in order to reach it. And something else I want you to think about when it comes to trying to plan for what is next, let's think about what we can do to overcome that crazy thing called procrastination. And so I know that that is something that I have struggled with and I struggle with now is procrastination. When we procrastinate, we are prioritizing other things that don't even matter at the time, or there's things that are on our task list or things as far as self-care that we could be tended to, but we're wasting time, like spending time scrolling on the internet, binge watching shows when we could set aside some other time for that. We need to figure out what ways can we cut down on things that are causing us to procrastinate and keeping us away from doing more productive things that can help us reach our goals. And I know for me, I do have like a timer set on my social media as far as the amount of time that I spend on it. But I know going into the new year, I definitely want to spend less time on social media, which can be hard because I feel like I have to be on social media for my business. I have to seem like I'm being current with the things and posting and seeming like I'm on the internet or social media. But I have found myself kind of just dwindling away with time and just scrolling when I feel like I could be doing something more productive, like reading something. And so I definitely want to set a goal to not spend probably more than 30 minutes of social media a day. And instead, I want to prioritize reading one of the books that I set for the year and actually spend at least 30 minutes reading one of my books so I can actually progress through that and add to the knowledge of myself, and I can use all of that time that I'm wasting on things that are more productive, like reading and knocking tasks off my list for my business and for myself. And one of the last things that I want you to think about is how your mindset matters when it comes to planning for what's next. It is a hard thing to shift your mindset. The person that I am today, I was not 3 years ago. Like my mindset was completely different. I was younger. It's taken some time to mature. But you really have to think about where your mindset is now and where you want it to go. And so just think about some of the things that can help you shift and grow as a person as you shift and change your mindset. And before you can reach any big goal, or change something in your life, sometimes it takes a shift of the mind. And it is some eternal work that has to be done. But as you sit down and look at your goals, look at your current lifestyle and see maybe there are some shifts that you can make that you can start shifting that mindset and it can help you reach that goal. Because I can tell you now, if I kept the same mindset that I had 3 years ago about not wanting to do anything extra in my free time, not thinking that I had an entrepreneurial mindset, if I had kept that way of thinking, I would not be close to where I am now. I would not have a business that has the potential of fully taking care of my entire life if I had kept that mindset. But it took that shift in order to get where I am today. And so I told you all that this will be a short episode. I just want to talk about some things that you should consider when it comes to preparing for the things that are next. Get to it, y'all. Set the time aside, start planning, be intentional with your time, be intentional with the actions that you take, be intentional with the people that you spend time with. And I promise you, it can change your life, it can change the trajectory. And I'm just so excited for what 2025 is going to bring. A lot of our lives are about to change, and I'm so excited to see what comes from it. It's going to be a good one. So stay tuned, y'all. We're coming out with more things for the new year. We're going to have some more guests. This is not the last that you're going to see of me, and I can't wait to see you next time. See ya.